Welcome back to the ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Niall. We have just seen Jesse Bam Rodriguez win another world title, win the WBO World Super Flyweight title against a very tough PHUMELEA CAFU in Texas tonight. Niall, good to be joined by you. Busy evening, lots going on in the States at the moment. It's hard to keep track of everything, but you watched this fight in more detail. Give us your analysis of what we have just seen, please. Round 10 stoppage for Bam tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was another outstanding performance from Bam Rodriguez against an unbeaten world champion. I thought the game plan from CAFU tonight was interesting. You know, from the first kind of bell, he parked himself in the corner. I was thinking if there was like a football style heat map for this, it'd just be a square box for CAFU. He went from corner to corner, parked himself there, looking to just counter, pick Bam Rodriguez off with that, those fast, particularly the right hand, his power shot. It wasn't necessarily just to survive that he was in those corners. It was, a game plan as the commentators alluded to, was a good point. Probably in order to kind of eliminate the footwork and the angles from Bam Rodriguez by keeping the fights in the corners. But it was a game plan that was never going to win the fight. It was never going to have enough versatility to kind of or power to keep somebody like Jesse Rodriguez off. It was just, yeah, it was way too one-dimensional a game plan, and Rodriguez was far too versatile, far too powerful, and yeah, it was kind of like throwing rocks at a tank at times there. He just couldn't keep him off him. He swarmed him, and then as soon as he seen that he had him hurt, bam, he was like a shark that smelled blood, getting the finish. Yeah, it was a phenomenal performance for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think nice to see kind of Bam go some rounds as well. Like his last fight was just 3 rounds, and it was the Estrada fight was over a year ago. So I was kind of predicting Bam early myself. So it was actually nice to kind of see him get settled into the fight. Is it fair to say kind of there was a big difference in levels tonight? I think Cafu maybe was kind of deciding how he was going to lose tonight without sounding too disrespectful, whether that was to have a go from the first bell and get stopped early or just to kind of try and survive but is it fair to say that there was just kind of such a margin when it came to the levels between the two fighters now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be the case with Bam for a lot of fighters, that they're not on his level. Cafu, quality fighter. We seen what he done in Japan when he beat Kasai Tanaka. That's no mean feat whatsoever. That was an outstanding win. But yeah, it was clear in there that he knew that he was massively outgunned. It was only a matter of time. He had to constantly work harder to keep his head above the water in that one, even though he did have a success. But as I said, and as the commentators put it well, he done enough to kind of keep it relatively competitive, but not ever threaten to win the fight. So yeah, we've kind of seen. Maybe it's a little bit unfair to call it a survival mission, quote unquote, because we've seen worse examples of that. He did come to give it a go, but from what he was saying in the build-up, Fumalella Cafe about wanting Bam's head on a plate, that wasn't the performance to deliver that, which was quite disappointing. But yeah, a big difference in levels. But he's not the only one that's gonna share a ring with Bam that's gonna say that.
Yeah, for sure. I think kind of your fighters have a few things to say, and then maybe when the first bell goes and they realize how much of a task they've got in their hands, they maybe yeah, regret saying certain things. But that happens in the sport. Usually at this point now, I'd kind of say to you, who do you want Rodriguez to fight next? But we already know that's already been announced. He'll fight the WBA champion Fernando Daniel Martinez in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on the 22nd of November. So pretty much exactly 4 months away. Rodriguez will be back in action. Um, Martinez undefeated as well as CAFU was. CAFU obviously had three draws on his record, whereas Martinez a perfect record of 18-0, nine stoppages, been to Japan twice to face Kazuto Ioka, beaten twice, both times unanimous decision. Not an easy task. Do you think that Martinez will be a tougher fight for Bam than tonight was?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I think, Martinez's style will be totally different to Cafu's in terms of he's going to be much more attacking. He's going to be much more aggressive, come forward. So I think in that regard, it's going to be a more entertaining fight. But I think Martinez's style is going to maybe lend itself to an earlier night than we've seen tonight. He's going to leave those openings for Bam to head and body. He's going to be in the center of the ring. Bam's going to have more kind of room to maneuver with his footwork and his use of angles. I think, Puma Martinez is an outstanding fighter. He proved it twice in Japan against Ioka. But again, as you said, it's a matter of levels here for me. And Bam is maybe a couple of levels above Puma Martinez. So I think, yeah, it's gonna lend itself to a more exciting fight. But I think the style of Martinez is gonna kind of be his downfall, in a way. But it's a fight I'm looking forward to see what sort of problems Martinez can pose for Bam. I really like the body work of Martinez and that aggression.
Yeah, no, look, fantastic. Another one to look forward to. It's nice when the pound for pound stars are active. They were like you can't necessarily say that about Terence Crawford, for example. He's not been out the last couple of years, but will it be kind of Opetaya, Bam Rodriguez, Canelo? These guys have kind of stayed active. Maybe not against the best opponents in the world sometimes. That's what you want to see from the best fighters in the sport. No. I'll let you go. We'll see. See how Bano Rodriguez gets on the 22nd of November. But until then, I will speak to you again very soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, take care.